I think the middle school's going to move. Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. But
He goes, and the boss brought donuts. I didn't eat donuts.
Val?
John?
Is he the boss?
Yeah, I said welcome. Everything's so slow paced.
all right, I call the meeting of the Monomoy School Committee to order at 6:33 p.m. And first order of business would be to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from April 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And then we'll have the Monomoy Regional Middle School representative with an S.
Hello, I'm Talia Tambolia Perez, and I am the president of the Monomoy Regional Middle School Student Council, and I will pull up the slide.
Oops, sorry.
I'm very excited to be here again, and I just love speaking here. But I'm here to talk to you about some important things we have done in the Student Council this year so far. This year, between December 10th to December 14th, we held a Spirit Week in order to boost school spirit and participation. Our themes were Movie Monday, Tropical Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, Throwback Thursday, and Fan Friendly Friday. And we had we had less than half. Not a lot of people participated, but it was fun, and that's what really mattered, the fun in it. We also debated and voted over topics like having smartwatches available during school or having school uniforms, and both we decided against because we decided that smartwatches would be distracting, and in the future it'll be even more distracting. And uniforms, people didn't really like being restricted that much. They wanted to let out their creativity. On March 8th, we sponsored the Under the Sea dance, which we decorated and helped design, I guess. And we made a playlist, and we would like to thank all the chaperones who were at the dance and the Monomoy, the high schoolers for also chaperoning. We also researched different charities so we could support them using sites like Charity Navigator, which we just type in and see how much of the proceeds go to the charity and what they do and how we can help. And we haven't picked one yet, but we are very close. We have a lot in mind. And we have also contributed to a lot of Megalodon things too. Yes, Susanna.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Susanna Brown. I'm the Vice President of the Monomoy Middle School Student Council. In the near future, hopefully this year, we plan on carrying through with a fundraiser that will help support a local charity that we choose, and it will help support our school and our community. We also plan on organizing a Super Shark Summit to recognize the hard work of our new and veteran student leaders. Hopefully we can combine this event with a whole school cleanup. One amazing part of our school is our evenings of inspiration. Student council members and National Junior Honor Society members, high schoolers, staff, and school administrators all pitched in on October 26th, January 11th, and March 29th. They were all Friday evenings to help students catch up on work. Our school community is truly dedicated to making sure that every student is excited about taking responsibility for their learning. On May 1st, as part of a community service project, the students have been designing and crafting clay bowls for our second annual Empty Bowls Full Hearts fundraiser to benefit our local food pantry, under the direction of our art teacher, Mr. Nickerson. The event will take place Wednesday, March 1st from 5 to 6:30 in our school cafeteria. We hope you can all attend. Other events include an all-school art show on May 22nd and a combined chorus and band concert on June 6th. The art show will be at the middle school from 6:30 to 8, and the concert will take place at the high school between 6:30 and 8:30. Lastly, students will be participating in a Walk for Water on June 5th. This walk will involve the entire middle school community participating in raising funds to build hand washing stations for people unfortunate in Kenya. Thank you so much for your time, and that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job.
Any comments or questions? Terry?
A question, I know I'm out of it, but a megalodon.
Yes, that's the, like, because we're the sharks, and the megalodon was like it was like the biggest shark ever. So that's what we call our leadership groups that include National Junior Honor Society Student Council, Friends of Rachel, the Shark Tank Cafe, and the newspaper. I don't know if the newspaper, but those are some of the leadership groups involved in the megalodons.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Any other questions?
Talia, I missed what you said about smartwatches because mine vibrated and said breathe when you were talking about them.
That is one of the negative effects of smartwatches. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Carolyn, the Monomoy Regional High School update?
So even though we had a week off in the middle of the month for spring vacation, I still think I have one of the longest reports yet. On Friday, March 29th, the Spirit Committee hosted an 8th grade semi-formal dance. The theme was Glow Night, so the gym was decked out in neon colors, glow sticks, and glow paint. The Spirit Committee reported that this was their biggest turnout yet. Miss Flint's Anatomy and Physiology class had the opportunity to watch a live knee replacement surgery, right here in our very own library. The students video chatted with the surgeon and asked them some very well-developed questions. On April 3rd, Mr. Smeltzer's Latin 3 classes took the annual trip to Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts. They analyzed Henry David Thoreau's ideas as they relate to Roman Stoicism and explored the ways he related the idea of carpe diem to his life at the pond. Friday, April 5th was a very exciting day for the class of 2020. It was the day of their much-anticipated junior prom. The Grand March started at 5:30, and many friends, family members, coaches, and teachers came out to see the students all dressed up. Although it was a cloudy, cold, blustery New England spring day, everyone looked stunning as they made their way down the oceanside walkway at Wequassett Resort. The students then went inside to have a night filled with dancing and fun. Jason Zaloom was named prom king, and Emma Santoni was named prom queen. After the dancing was done around 10:30 p.m., prom goers had the opportunity to attend the after-prom party at the Harwich Community Center. The party was organized by a committee of parents and students to provide a safe place for students to go after the prom, and included bounce houses, games, snacks, and several other activities. The week leading up to the big dance was a spirit week for all those who would be attending. Every day there was a different theme that students dressed according to, including dynamic duos, twin day, beach day, and pajama day, which helped build the excitement. Meanwhile, junior Sage Barnes was in Philadelphia participating in the All-Eastern Choral Concert. She was one of 320 members of the Honors Choir, which was one of 2 ensembles to perform that day. Sunday, April 7th was a very busy day at MRHS. The first event of the day was the 3rd annual Monomoy All Sports Booster Club Mattress Fundraiser. Student athletes from all of the spring sports teams came out to help make this event a success. At the same time, Monomoy's MIAA student ambassadors held a touch-a-truck event in the back parking lot. Children and families could come out and sit in fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, and construction trucks. There was also a 3-versus-3 soccer tournament on the turf and a bake sale. The weather was beautiful and the event was a huge success. All of the proceeds were donated to the Jesse Nash Fund and neuroblastoma research. The Thursday before spring vacation, students from all grades had the opportunity to visit the Wellness Fair. The Wellness Fair was organized by the peer leaders as a way to celebrate health and well-being in our school and community. Interactive displays, physical activities, games, and educational exhibits were set up by school and community members, including school resource officers, physical education teachers, U.S. Marines, and therapy dog trainers, to teach students about different aspects of health and wellness. The following week was spring vacation. Although there was no school, our students were still learning. Some students came in to use the equipment in the engineering room to prepare for the upcoming Cape Cod Makers robotics competition. If Monomoy students had not traveled enough this year, 2 more international trips took place over vacation. At 3 a.m. on Friday, April 12th, a group of students, led by Mandarin teacher Ms. Jones and guidance secretary Mrs. Casey, left for China. While they were there, they tasted Peking duck, visited Qingchu Panda Base, and fed giant pandas. Took a trip to an orphanage where they played with the children and donated toys, books, and snacks. Of course, they made a stop at the Great Wall of China, and while they were there, they did their civic duty by collecting trash. They arrived back home very early in the morning on Sunday. The second trip, which was headed to Iceland and led by Mrs. Barnes and Miss Flint, departed for the airport after school on Friday afternoon. Unfortunately, their flight, which was supposed to leave Friday night, was canceled, so they did not leave until Saturday morning. When they did arrive, every day was jam-packed with amazing activities and experiences. They walked through downtown Reykjavik and visited the National Museum of Iceland. They took trips to the Lava Center, which is a geothermal power plant, and the Perlin Museum, where they learned about ice caves and the Northern Lights. They explored geothermal parks, mud vents, and black sand beaches, did a glacier hike, and walked behind and around waterfalls. These students arrived back home last Thursday. On Monday, children's author and poet Yolande Clark Jackson visited Monomoy. She spoke to students about life, creative writing, and education during Jossam Hour. The spring sports season is now in full swing, and with 11 different teams, it is nearly impossible to report all of their scores. However, some notable moments include girls golf won over Nauset 6-0. Baseball defeated Sturgis West 10-0, Sacred Heart 15-0, and St. John Paul 3-2. Softball beat Sturgis East 19-3 and St. John Paul 21-4. Both boys and girls track had big wins over Sacred Heart, and the boys also beat the combined Sturgis team. Girls and boys tennis both defeated Cape Cod Academy 4-1 and were also both victorious over Sturgis East. Boys lacrosse had a nail-biter of a game versus Plymouth North, narrowly defeating them 8-0 in overtime. Girls lacrosse has won against Cape Cod Academy and Sturgis West. Sailing beat DY in their opening meet 5-0. And finally, our unified track team had their first meet in school history against Sandwich.
Thank you.
I was just wondering about
Yeah.
on the mattress sale, how profitable is that? Do you have any figures on that? I mean, I'm still trying to
Yeah.
wrap my head around that.
I don't know how much they made this year, but I know one year they made $11,000, and the year before I think was 15.
Okay, great. And I was curious about just the turnout for the after prom party and the wellness fair. Was there a substantial turnout for those? Do you
Yeah,
know?
the wellness fair, I think each grade had a different time slot that they had an opportunity to go down there. So at one time, 11th graders, 12th graders, whatever. The after prom party, I'm not exactly sure, but I think almost all the students, yeah. Went after prom, yeah.
Well, go home and take a nap. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we invite anyone from the public who would like to say anything to come to the podium. Okay, if not, we'll close that part and move on to recognitions.
I have a few here. Each year, the Rotary Club of Harwich and Dennis honors Monomoy students with its Just Good Kids Awards, recognizing students who enjoy school, hard work, volunteerism, and are respectful, courteous, honest, responsible, and a good friend. This year's honorees from Monomoy Regional Middle School and Monomoy Regional High School are Aubrietta Schneeberger, Jacob Richter, Catherine Hart, Hannah Mitchell, Delaney Agnes, and Sam all right.
I'm not going to try.
Eustitis? I've just butchered it. I would also like to thank the Women's Club of Chatham for their grant of $500 to the high school wellness department. We'd like to thank the Friends of Chatham Waterways for their grant in the amount of $2,000 to Nancy Gifford's 7th grade scientific field to help cover the cost of transportation to the Muddy Creek and to the National Seashore. And then I'd also like to just express my appreciation to Leah, Katie, and to Tish in putting together a benefits fair for for our employees as we are down an HR person temporarily. We had a benefits fair for everybody because we're heading into that open enrollment season for the benefits. So right before vacation, our staff were able to go and sort of get a little update on what plans are available, but also see all sorts of other wellness options available to them in our communities.
Okay, thank you. All right, the CVEC update.
Katie Isernio, Business Manager. In your packets, I sent some information, and it was all geared towards GE, but we're going to take a step back. Liz Argo was here from Cbec, and this has to do with putting solar panels up on the roof here at the high school. As you know, when the building was designed, it was designed to have solar panels installed if we chose, and we worked with our financial advisors to make sure that from our bond standpoint, being a tax-exempt bond, that there wasn't any implication, which there is not. So we were originally going to speak to you specifically about the GE proposal, but it appears that when they quoted this, they over-quoted the size of the project, which impacted what the benefit to the district will be. And Liz did hand out to you the second alternative, which this is something we're going to be voting on at the next meeting anyway. So what I've asked Liz to do is maybe just take a step back a little bit and just talk to you about the RFP that we were part of, the other parties that were involved in the RFP, and the project itself. So then I can further analyze the results of this second bidder, okay?
Good evening, Liz Argo, manager of the Cape and Vineyard Electric Cooperative. And the school district has participated with us in the past, so you should be pretty familiar with me by this time. And we've been talking for years about getting solar onto one of your buildings. There is a small solar installation at the elementary school, but we're now to do the solar installation here is definitely accomplishing something that's been we've hoped to get to for a long time. So the pro forma, just to give you an idea of what you will benefit from with the solar on the roof, as Katie noted, the preferred vendor initially was GE Solar. I went back to them and said, you've over-designed, so they have to go back to the drawing board. The second choice was Green Skies. So I took the liberty today of bringing you Green Skies' proposal, and that's in front of you. And just briefly to go over it without taking too much time, what this shows you is the system size, going across from left to right. The vendor is Green Skies, the system size in kilowatts, the system size in kilowatt hours. Their offer that would be the cost to the district. The output by year is the same actually as the approximate kilowatt hours. And really to kind of cut to the chase, the chart below shows you that same estimated kilowatt hour production. We're using a guaranteed annual output, which is the GAO, for our calculations because under the worst circumstances, they will be contracted to pay you the equivalent of 252,200 kilowatt hours. So we'll use that as a conservative approach. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be putting this behind the meter. The installation, the PV on your roof will actually feed you electricity, preventing Eversource from sending you electricity, i.e. charging you for electricity. So right now, the price of electricity has been jumping up pretty high. Let's call it 20 cents, which again is conservative. It's more like 25 cents right now. But if we, basically, we're going to take the cost of electricity, we're going to subtract the PPA cost, and we're going to multiply that by the annual kilowatt hours. And so you're looking at about $50,000 a year in savings to the school district from putting photovoltaics on the roof of the school. We may end up with a proposal from GE Solar that's better, but I think this gives you an idea at least of what you're looking at. And as Katie noted, we'll be back next week to actually get a vote. I have some instructions from my lawyer as to how that vote should be worded, which I will give to Katie, but essentially it is approval of the school committee that we would seek. And I guess it's probably appropriate to ask for questions. The other companies? Oh, the other towns. Oh, sure. The round 4 request for proposals was one of the largest ones we've handled. There were 21 projects that went out in this RFP, and we had 13 vendors respond. So it's been really successful. We're quite pleased. There are some battery storage projects that are included. At this point, we decided not to include battery storage here, but I hope we will in the future. And so out of the 13 vendors who responded, we at this point are looking at really 3. So we're keeping the negotiations pretty limited. We won't have to negotiate with 13 vendors, for instance. The other typical projects, the Oak Bluffs Elementary School is doing photovoltaics on their roof as well. So and they are using Green Skies, which is the company that you're looking at here. The fire station in Brewster is putting photovoltaics on their roof through this RFP. The Harwich not Cap Landfill, but a project right next to the Cap Landfill in Harwich is the as-of-right site that through Green Communities, in order to get Green Communities designation, they had to choose a site for renewables, and that's going to be developed as part of this RFP. And so on. I mean, Sandwich High School is doing their parking lot with solar canopies instead of their roof. So there's and maybe very importantly, across the street, the community center is going to do solar canopies as well as part of this RFP. So there's quite a range of different projects that are going forward along with Monomoy High School. Yes?
Yes.
I just, out of curiosity, can you explain the battery storage? Because you kind of mentioned that we have opted not to have that this is not included in our quote, and what it is and what we're looking at for cost for that if we do.
So the opportunity to pair photovoltaics with battery storage is a new initiative that the state is very supportive of, because photovoltaics are intermittent, and with battery you extend their usefulness. So the state has decided to incentivize batteries heavily. They're basically saying it will help our grid, our electric system, if we can control that intermittency with battery power and make it a more stable, flat curve. So with that incentive, as part of this round 4 RFP, request for proposals, we said to the vendors, please pair your offer with battery storage. But at this point, Katie and I decided to wait until possible. You can always go back and add it later, but since this is the first time that you're dipping your toe into the waters, we're keeping it pretty simple at this point. There's always the opportunity to go back. As I say, you also haven't used the entire roof of the school. It's last year I think I gave you a pro forma using the entire roof, and it definitely doubles the savings that you would see. So if this works out, you could look at, we are about to initiate round 5. You are now in round 4. Round 5 will go forward almost immediately, and it will again have an opportunity. You could, if you're ready, to go forward with the rest of the roof or additional part of the roof with storage at that time.
What's the cost associated with battery storage?
Well, it's always going to depend on the vendor, but the incentive program is so rich right now that we asked all the vendors to give us a PPA, and then we asked them, what's your PPA with battery? And we saw another penny added to the cost. So you're looking at 0.04, it would have been 0.06, for instance. So a minor addition to, and what it would provide for you is, in the case of a grid outage with a battery, you already have generators, but you can support your generators with your PV battery. So, this was the lesson from Hurricane Sandy. When you run out of diesel fuel, you're probably gas here, though, I'm thinking, natural gas. Diesel, it's sort of immaterial, I digress. But at any rate, the lessons from Hurricane Sandy is when you run out of gas or oil, more importantly, you can't pump anymore because there's no electricity. So the state is very keen on resilience, which can be accomplished with batteries that work with the diesels to say, hey, diesel, take a break. We got it covered. So we just got filled. The sun was out. We got all the power we need for a while. And then when the PV is the battery is exhausted, the diesel takes over and the battery charges again from the PV. So it extends your resilience for a couple of days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz. A couple of questions. Who would maintain the panels up on the roof?
The owner, which is these vendors, would own and maintain them. They're totally responsible. Cbec is in the role of handling the WIP, which we're very happy to do. So when somebody is not responding the way we want, we like to come down very heavily. That's my job, and I'm good at it.
Thanks for the warning. How many years are these panels viable?
Well, they're warranted for 25 years. These contracts are 20-year contracts with a 5-year extension option. So they are the warranty on the photovoltaics, the panels themselves, is arm in arm with the length of the contract. They have a life expectancy of 35, 40 years. We can cite an installation that Jimmy Carter put in Beverly, Massachusetts, behind a school there, and those solar panels are still kicking. They're still producing power. The Achilles tendon, or the weaker part of the chain, is the inverters, the equipment that takes the DC power and turns it into AC power. That's what needs replacement more often than not at about year 15, 16.
And as I know, Jimmy Carter is still kicking.
Yes, God bless him.
My last question, would you run through, once for me, because the savings projected yearly are over 20 years, both. You mentioned somewhere around 50%?
I said 50,000.
This is 50,000, year one.
Maybe was it system degradation?
Too fancy, I wouldn't understand that. Actually, that's why I'm going to the doctor next week.
Degradation?
Just say, if I were to ask Katie what the bill is for our electrical bill here at the high school,
Right.
and a year hence or 2 years hence, we have solar panels.
You're looking for how much of a percentage
Yeah.
will you save? We
Yeah.
usually use 20%.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that I can refine that, but that's been the case in the past, so I feel comfortable saying it.
Per year, that's 20%.
Pardon?
Per year.
Yeah. So you'll see a reduction to your bills, and actually we may have some of that from, because you are participating. Monomoy School District is participating in a lot of our savings programs through renewables, and I don't know. Hey, Leah, can you kick that back? How much would you say that you save? I think Leah's put it at disadvantage because she wasn't there when we initiated the program, and it's really hard to know without the history. But I would believe that in the first year that you participated, it was Susan, right?
Yeah.
You would have seen your bills go, whoop, and I don't think Leah was in a position to actually watch that, but that's basically what happens, is all of a sudden your bills are shrinking.
while you're here, Liz, that was to be my last question, but I'll add on this one. Was there a year or two ago, we signed on and partially with some wind power?
Yes.
And the source, or sources, one source was, as you go over the Bourne Bridge and shortly a year or two, mile or two up the road on the left and right, there is some, getting treatment for this.
Let me know where to go.
Solar panels up there, windmills. Then there were some legal issues that they were
Okay,
challenged.
So
What's
that's
the
Falmouth,
status of
I'm
that?
thinking. That's probably Falmouth, as you go over the Bourne Bridge, onto the Cape, and you see the turbines?
These
on
are
20
off-Cape, the ones that
25?
I'm looking at. They touch
Oh.
Plymouth.
No, okay, so
Carver
that
property.
is future generation wind, and yes, Cbec is an off-taker, and we represented you in that deal, so in its essence, Monomoy School District is an off-taker. So those 4 turbines are operating. There have been some great savings from them. There have been some, they've modified their operations to if there is a complaint, they don't operate at certain times and in certain conditions in order to spare the neighbors. So I just asked them, in fact, are we seeing any shortfall in what we should expect? And he's said no, despite that, and I can't think, mitigation. So that's a good project. We're pleased with it.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon?
Just out of curiosity, why would a group choose to have canopy rather than a rooftop for solar?
Good question. In some cases, the roof just isn't new enough. So, and that is the case over at the community center. We try to do it within 10 years of the roof's lifespan, and they're over that. So they chose to go. They're also thinking, in their case, there's a lot of older people are using that facility, and if they won't have to keep as much maintenance of that parking lot, also the lighting will be a part of the solar canopies. So it will also probably make those parking lots easier for our older people to navigate.
Yes, thank you.
Jackie?
Actually, kind of commenting on Sharon's question, my question was, our roofs are newer where the solar panels are gonna be, so what happens when we have to repair the roof? You know, we're looking at Green Skies, do we have to coordinate all of that? They come down, they remove the solar panels, we have a contractor come in, they repair the roof, and then, so I'm right?
Well, you are. I don't foresee you needing a repair. You have, had some issues, so in light of that. So the way this will work with the solar installation is the roof company that holds the warranty is going to work with the solar installer, and the solar installation company is concerned about their roof being up to par, because they don't want to be responsible for something that the roofing company should be responsible for. So they are going to walk your roof together, and they have documents that they use to point out deficiencies. If there is something that the solar company thinks needs repair, they're going to insist it gets repaired before they could somehow be liable. Vice versa, when the installation has been done, the roofing company comes back and the 2 companies walk the solar installation. And if the roofing company says, I don't like the looks of that, that has to be fixed by the solar installation company. And in the end, there's a document that basically is the papering of that change of warranty, but it's your warranty goes right back into effect once both companies have agreed that all parties have done the right job.
Anything else?
Those are good questions.
Thank
Think
you.
up some more, because I'll be back next week.
2 weeks.
2
2
weeks.
weeks. All righty, thank
you
you.
very much. Okay, Katie? This is for the first Writers Retreat Student Activity Account.
So I'm just going to follow up quickly. So
Oh.
the electric bill, the utility for electricity here at the high school, we budget $212,000. So 20%, pretty good. And also just one of the very first phone calls we made after, when we decided about going with exploring that, was contacting our roofing, the company that installed the roof, to make sure that there wasn't any kind of impact on the warranty. And so we had that covered as well. So anyway.
And it's a roof that specifically when we were building the building, it was built to be solar ready, so.
Right.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
it was designed to have this up there at some point.
And we couldn't do anything before the building project was closed out. So then we're moving pretty quickly after the project was in fact closed out at Halloween. The group came, Sherry Ann Armstrong came and presented the writers retreat that they go on the, with the middle school kids. And so we need to create a student activity account for the writers retreat. We don't have one set up. So we need a vote
I'd
for
like
that.
to move to set up a writers' retreat for the middle school writers group.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm not opposed. I just have a quick question. So that's a trip they take every year, so is,
It was part of a general, it
Oh,
was,
okay.
it went into a
Okay.
general, I think it was classified miscellaneous other, which
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of. So as we're unfurling some miscellaneous others, we're targeting exactly what the funds
Okay.
are used for.
Okay, and the Media Film Club?
So I put some information in your packet about this, and I'm gonna just read it. The high school is seeking approval for the establishment of a media film club. Now this, I'd like to set this up as a revolving account versus student activities, similar to our athletic revolving and our drama, because there'll be selling tickets and admissions. The purpose of the club is to allow students to create movies or other video-related content so they can send them off to competitions. They're also going to be hosting a film festival that will allow students to compete with each other at the high school and eventually make it a Cape-wide event. The source of the funds will be a small fee for admissions, thus that triggers in my mind the revolving account, to the film fest, selling snacks and t-shirt sales. And then the expenses will be related to the projects. I think this sounds pretty exciting for the media, and we've seen the things that they do with the morning announcements already. So this would be a new revolving account for the high school.
Okay,
I think that's gonna be
That'll be voted on the
next
following
time,
right.
next month, next meeting.
Yes, Terry?
This, I think it's a great idea. The discussion of following that up with, I would imagine this will have a director of the club, which would require a stipend.
Well, Stephen Cass, it's his group, and he already has the stipend associated
What's
with
that?
the district.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think it just kind
This is
of
the
evolved.
account.
It evolved out of that established stipend already.
Okay.
And I just wanted to go back to the Writers Retreat Student Activity Account, saying that motion carries, just for the record. Okay.
So we'll just have a vote at the next meeting for
For
the
the-
media club.
Okay. Technology budget transfers?
So in your packet, and then I also sent some follow-up information on some budget transfers that we need for the technology. You know, I didn't bring mine with me, I have to grab them. If you recall, thank you, at the beginning, last summer, the Department of Ed made some modifications to the chart of accounts as it was related to the technology and fine-tuned some of the things. Last year, FY '18 is when they made some modifications to professional development, and that's when they created the long-term sub that we had to vote to move some money into the long-term subcategories. So they periodically look at the chart of accounts. That's the 1,000s, the 2,000s, the 3,000s, how we vote our budget. So with Jim Birchfield's help, we went through to see, okay, now with the new categorizations, we had some things budgeted in the 1,000s that now should be in the 4,000s, series. Some of them have to do with, the 1,000s is more like the administration of some of the technology, and the 4,000s are the nuts and bolts of it. So based on the changes, we need to transfer some monies that I've put forth here from technology contracted services and moving it to a district management, and it's really just kind of fine tuning based on the further clarifications from the Department of Ed. And I sent to you all the kind of the draft of what they were fine tuning. Every now and then they look at an area that they haven't looked at in a long time, and technology was one. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Okay.
We're looking to vote on that tonight.
If we could, that would be great. But if it needs to wait, that's fine.
Okay. I'd like to move to approve the transfer. I need to read the whole account number.
I think if you did the third set, the 4450 and the 1450, because that's how we vote the budget.
So if
The
we
third
could
section.
move from account 4450, technology contract service, the amount of $7,920 to the 1450 district info management contract services.
Mhm.
Can I do them all at once, or do I need to do separate? Also, from the 4450 category, technology other expense for $12,000, technology contract service for $5,000, and networking other expense for $5,000, for a total of $22,000 into the 1450 account district info management other expense. That's
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm gonna just stay right there.
Why don't you just do the meeting?
Time flies. Doesn't seem like it was all that long ago that I was up here talking about our copy of leases, and here we are. So we, working with Kenmark, and Kenmark has been purchased by another company, but they're still local and have our local, service people. They put together using state contract pricing, a lease for the copiers, as our leases run out the end of May. This is the pricing, we're going to vote on it next time. But one of the things I'd like to talk about, because of the types of machines and some of the improvements of the machines, in the past, we've done a 3-year lease, and we just want to, similar to our technology, we want to keep things fresh and current, and we don't want to end up like we did when we were closing down schools, owning all these copy machines, trying to get rid of old dinosaurs. So I'm recommending entering into a 48-month, a 4-year lease, because there's still a lot of life left in the machines we're swapping out. And we all, the service is good, and we looked at the service records of what we've done, and I think would be better served leasing them for 4 years. So that's the only change going forward. Well, not the only one. And also, we have Savin machines, but Kenmark is a Savin and a Konica Minolta. And looking at the two machines and reaching out to some of my colleagues, we're gonna swap them over to Konica Minolta. I think that there's some functionality of the machines that will be a little quicker for some, and we also want to have available in the main office of the 4 schools a color copier that will be coded to only certain people being able to print in color at the copier, because what we want to get away from are the color printers. The printers, the ink on the printers are very inexpensive, but the ink is ridiculous. So we want to be moving towards the toner for the copiers, and having certain permissions so that, not everybody can print in color. But those are the changes to this. So this is the proposal. I highlighted, I think, the lease, and I put a star over the 48-month, and then the service contract would be, so the 48-month would be $3,653.05 a month. And then the service contract on top of that will be $2,162.53. Unfortunately, in the past, under the state contract, which this is the pricing for state contract, the service contract was folded into it, and I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but they separated out when they were negotiating, and when the state issued the contract, service contracts is separate. So it's not all folded into one. So, I don't know if anyone has any questions. We're not adding any machines, we're just swapping them out, and we're just improving some of the functionality.
And we've got savings for a 48-month lease versus a 36-month lease.
We-
And the change of the copier brands themselves don't cost any more or less. It's a swap.
They gave us very good pricing, so that actually the Konica Minolta machines came in a little bit lower than what the Savins would have come in at.
And then the service, you said, was minimal typically when we have the Minoltas that we currently.
The Savins,
The
yeah, we
Savins.
come,
That's what we have,
Yeah.
but what about, do we have any anticipation of what the service needs are gonna be of the Minolta?
well, I've reached out to other districts that have them, and people are very happy with these machines, the Konica Minoltas. We're very happy with the Savins, and we have a wonderful working relationship with Kenmark in terms of what they would have the schools use.
Okay, and you don't anticipate any changes now that they've been bought out for the
No.
service end of it? Still
Um,
local and,
Yes, and I reached out to all of the school secretaries and the principals, just to, to ask about machines, and one of the things that, and even our own central office, is the service that we have is so, they're very responsive, they're quick, because if you've ever been in a school and the copier goes down, it's not a pretty sight. I think they've actually expanded the service department, so it's nice to have them located on this side of the bridge.
thank you.
Any other questions?
So this doesn't need a vote, this,
Next time, we can do it next time. Or,
okay.
if you want, we could do it next time.
I think we've been honoring sharing
Yeah.
requests and things are presented for the first time, we're going second.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time. Okay, subcommittee reports. Let me just find what I have here. This is the second reading for the special instructional programs and accommodations, so we need to take a vote. Is there any discussion, questions, or? Is there a motion?
I move to approve IHB special instructional programs and accommodations as reviewed on April 11th. And I move to approve IAJ instructional materials as presented on April 11th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, superintendent's report?
I'll try to be quick because I think the executive session's going to take a little while tonight. Big size all around. But we have sent out a family community needs survey. I think the last time I looked, we've had over 250 respondents, including over 50 families with infants and toddlers, over 70 with preschoolers. That's really getting at what sort of needs do families see when it comes to affordable care and just care that meets the hours that their family needs it. I'll be presenting that at our next meeting, and so we'll have a full presentation of that, and then we'll be sharing that information with hopefully community partners that might want to pair with us to go and fill whatever gaps that survey is bringing to light. But at least a quick look at it, I think a lot of the gaps that we think exist in our towns are clearly showing up in that survey. Along that same lines on infants and toddlers and all of that, I'd like to just congratulate our own Barbara Susko, who 2 days ago became along the way that she became a grandmother, so she welcomed Penelope Grace. And I have a nice little picture I can share with everybody later that Barbara holding her granddaughter. Lastly, we had hoped to kind of have the school committee ratify the Unit C contract, but the union will not be able to pull their membership together until May 1st, but we'll go discuss that in executive session and move forward. So, that will be part of our chat a little bit later tonight. And that's it.
That was
Okay.
pretty brief.
Well done, thank you. Okay. Right. Brings us down, I believe, to the creation of the elementary drama revolving account, which we heard last week and need to vote on this week. So is there a motion?
Yes, I move to set up the revolving account for school district.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the Roger Williams Zoo trip approval?
I move to approve the Roger Williams Zoo trip for the Chatham Elementary School first grade.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, and declaration,
Nope, I was just over.
declaration of surplus?
So I just wanted to mention one thing about, usually a lot of the stuff that we have declared here is well-worn and used. But one of the things that we're asking to declare surplus at the request of the principal of the middle school is a batting cage that is in the gym. If you go to town meeting, it's along the side, it kind of looks like a Darth Vader helmet that's along. But there's some value to this particular piece of equipment. So we reached out, and our elementary schools are not interested. So after it's declared surplus per the regional agreement, I will reach out to both the town of Chatham and the town of Harwich to see if either one of their park or rec programs are interested in it. And if not, the next logical place will go to the Little League and ask if they're interested in the batting cage. So I just want to, it's a little more unique than some of the other surpluses that we've declared.
Are these both the middle school
It's at the middle school.
and the music room one is middle?
Yes, but this other one is not of the same caliber. Thank you.
I move to approve the disposal of surplus materials estimated value under $5,000 of the batting cage backhoe from 2003, estimated value of $2,395. And I move to approve the disposal of surplus materials estimated under $5,000 from the music room, a Suzuki keyboard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment to executive session pursuant to MGL 30A, Section 21, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining of Unit C and non-union contracts coming out for adjournment only.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Aye. In favor.
Roll call vote, so
Oh,
everybody has
I'm
to say
sorry. Oh, aye.
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 Keep up. Aye.
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 Not coming out for public session.
Okay,
You're adjourned.
I did. Oh, we are adjourned, not coming out for public session.
She'll have it by May.